This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Duane Toews joining you once again at Kettleman's Convention and Trade Show in San Antonio, Texas. A chance to catch up with Kristina Butts. Kristina is the Executive Director of Legislative Affairs for NCBA. And Kristina, a lot of things going on in Washington, D.C. Obviously, some things that impact the beef industry and producers, the dietary guidelines and what may come out of that. Some things that are a bit concerning that producers certainly want to stay apprised of.
No, absolutely. And dietary guidelines has been an issue where NCBA has been involved since 2012. And over the last year, we've been very involved at various levels on these public meetings that the advisory committee has been having. And just to make sure everybody understands, every 5 years, two federal agencies, the Department of Health and Human Service and USDA, they actually come together and create an advisory committee. This year, there's 14 people on that advisory committee. And they're tasked with actually reviewing the latest nutrition research to decide if we need to make changes to the previous dietary guidelines. So obviously they made the decision to revamp the 2010 dietary guidelines, and really everything was going pretty good. The third meeting in March, the advisory committee started drifting into topics like sustainability. They focused specifically on the beef industry. You know, we came out very strong against that, not because we don't want to talk about sustainability, but when you look at the charter of this advisory committee, they're focused on looking at nutrition research and talking about nutrition and health from a policy perspective, but from a science perspective too. So thankfully that kind of conversation actually died down a little bit. And then at the 7th meeting in December, that's really where it kind of went to what we were expecting as our worst case scenario, where essentially they decided, the advisory committee, to remove lean meat from what they consider as a healthy diet. And then they also made a recommendation that Americans should decrease red meat and processed meat consumption. So where we're sitting right now is that the secretaries of both HHS and USDA, they have the scientific report. We expect that to come out any day here in February. And then once that's released, there's going to be a comment period. So this is really where producers can make sure their voices are heard. So by submitting comments to the docket for both USDA and HHS to review, and then we're also working with a lot of different people who actually conduct research on nutrition or maybe work at university levels or registered dietitians to make sure that their voices are heard throughout this process. Once the comment period closes, then the secretaries will review those comments, and then they'll actually come forward with the 2015 dietary guidelines a little bit later this year.
It's interesting, the last time those were done, USDA was the lead agency and HHS was in the advisory capacity. Those tables turned now. Did that play a part maybe in where some of this environmental stuff came from?
You know, you're right. So USDA is not officially the lead. Obviously, their staff are playing a role in helping advise the committee, the advisory committee, and it's been a little bit of a challenge. This committee's really kind of pushed the limit on what we would say their statutory obligations are, and just making sure that they stick to the science and stick to the core principles. And really, when we talked about that lean meat conversation that they had in December, you know, we would argue that they didn't look in the right place for the research to show the benefits of lean meat being in the diet. Maybe they looked at the research that showed, you know, maybe some complications, et cetera, on some of these different studies, but they didn't really look in the wealth of knowledge that is there for more than 30 years of research showing the benefits of meat and beef being part of a heart-healthy diet.
Well, Kristina, certainly it's been a pleasure to have you here with us at Cattle Industry Convention. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more and discuss some international affairs after this.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Poe. Here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.